Namaskar and welcome to this exciting new episode of Sathology, Debunking Mythology. Sat means truth, Logos means a study of science, Sathology means a science of truth or study of truth. It is a true antonym of mythology. Myth is a Sanskrit word which means a fake lie, imagination, and mythology means something with no basis, a study of fakery, study of lies, study of imagination, and also science of fakery. Why mythology was coined, I have spoken it many times, but I must repeat it again one more time if somebody is watching this for the first time. Mythology was created purposefully to 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 destroy the faith of the followers of Sanatan Dharma in their own scriptures. So when in English you call it mythology, that means it is not real. But let me tell you one thing, RN invasion theory has been debunked conclusively and it is out. That was a mythology that is out. Mahabharat historical is out. I have myself done it because I myself wanted to study it. So I've written two books on that. And from Ramayana, I debunked the theory of that the people did not know navigation in the past. No, that is also debunked. In fact, Vasco da Gama accidentally came here on a pre-established sea route, not new, because the sea currents there is I was talking to a seaman. He said there is no other way. You have to follow the currents, and the currents will guide you only one way, whether it's Indian
Right.
Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean. So anyway, we debunked that. Today I have a very special guest, and he's very popular in India, at least on social media, and also works on the ground and works and writes beautiful articles. One of the articles is in front of me. In fact, both our articles matches. My book has same content, Candelabra in Peru. So without delay, let us welcome Sri Gopal Goswami.
Namaskar, Aditi ji. Namaskar to all the galaxy of audience. Though I
So
don't deserve such names, such huge names, as such expert of dharma, practitioner of dharma, and those serving the dharma across the world. Namaskar to all of you. And I apologize in the beginning for my mistakes because I am a learner. I'm not an expert.
all of us are learning. All of us are learning. It's like an ocean. The deeper you go, there is a lot more to cover still. And so we are all learning. We are all on the surface right now. So when we talk about, I love the word tattva because the tattva is the principle, and tattva, everything is based on tattva. That's the beauty of Sanatan Dharma, that everything has a foundation. Now, so when we talk about tattva, when we talk about tattva, what is your understanding of tattva before we start off?
See, tattva that constitutes this universe, the goodness, the nature, and the things that has been the cause of our existence, this universe, and the traits given to us as a human or as a universe from the Almighty God who created us. Today only I had one small caption on Twitter where one Pahalwan, one wrestler, has won a kusti and he dedicated his medals to the cow, mother cow, Gai Mata. From her, he used to drink the milk. So this is a tattva. This is I call it Sanatan tattva. This trait of uh, thankfulness, this trait of gratitude, that is Sanatan tattva, and that is existent in among the practitioner of Sanatan Dharma. Those panth originated from Bharat, Indian soil. Aditi ji.
One of the biggest findings of the world has been like Ramayana. The last article is wonderful. Candelabra in Peru is accurately mentioned in Ramayana, Valmiki Ramayana, Yagyavedi, Yagyapeti, and it's so. is startling fact for even South Americans. And I think P. Vartak, the
Hmm.
famous writer, had also said it was on the cover of his book. Yesterday, me and Nilesh were talking about it, and and this has been such a widely recognized fact. But why doesn't Indian government go out and talk about it to the whole world? Ministry of External Affairs should actually talk about these things.
But they should know it first, na? Actually, we were busy in defending our mess what we have created in last 500 years. Our people, our experts, our social workers, our thinkers, all were busy. They were either side of the coin. Means someone, few were abusing it, discarding it, discrediting it, disregarding it worldwide, and some were busy defending it with their limited knowledge and limited resources. So now the world has become flatter, and the knowledge is on fingertips with the advent of this technology. So now we are more equipped. Our youth is more knowledge, well studied, well understood, and they are more conceived, I think, of ideas, and they are more into believing all these things that our ancestors were great. They have did it in a great accent, and what they have done, the modern science or modern world can have to travel another light years to reach there. But to inculcate this confidence, to generate this confidence, we have lost a lot of things. We have lost our most of the libraries burned by the barbarians. Though we survived, though the knowledge has survived because it was a Shruti based knowledge in our parampara. So when we talk, actually, this what topic we are discussing is Sanatan Tattva, and is based upon the existence of Bhagwan Ram. So actually, when sometime back when the Ayodhya Ram Mandir construction has started, so the all left brigade has started one story that why Bhagwan Ram or Ram Mandir is important, or why in a secular country one particular sect or one particular god should be given an importance. So here I tried to debunk that theory that Bhagwan Ram is a mythical person, or he belongs to Hindus, or he belongs to India, or he belongs to Jambu Dweep, Aryavart, or the world. So while going through, I could see huge number of evidences where the existence of Ram was found in all over the country, in far east to extreme west, and Peru, as you said right now, the triangle. So the thing starts from here, that whenever we do a sankalp or puja in our home, so we started with Om Vishnave Vishnave, Om Brahmanardi, Dvitiya Prade Sri Shweta Varakalpi, Vyasvanam Manvantari, Ashtavinsat Vishwe Kali Yogi Pratham Charane. So this Kal Garna is in the base. If we go to this, then what is Manvantar? So Manvantar, it is a cosmic day that includes 14 period of Manvantara. Manvantara, it has some 306 million solar years. Then after Manvantar, a Manvantar is consists of 306 million years. So we are right now in Svetavaraha Kalpa. So that is somehow, uh, I think, eighth or ninth Varaha Kalpa. So if we look at that, the timeline, the chronology of timeline, so the existence of human is billions of years old. If we don't go that far, if we start with the Krita Yuga, the golden age or Satyug, the Satyug was of 17.28 million years, human years. Then next is the Treta Yuga, that was 12.96 million years. Then Dwapar Yuga, that is called Bronze Age, is 86.4 million years. Then Kali Yuga, that is Iron Age, we are running right now 4.32 years. So if we go by that, so Rama happened in Treta Yuga, so that way it is somehow 4.43 millions, 0.86 million, and 12.96 million. So you put together, as believed, Ram was born at the fag end, later end of the Silver Age or the Treta Yuga. So it comes around 15 lakhs years ago. Ram was there. So no history tells you about this. Means no history goes beyond 3,000, 4,000 years back, and we have that huge history. So if Ram was there some 15, 16 million years ago, so he must be a world figure, an ancestor to all of us, because Hindu majority, the Indian origin, Panth, Dharma, all follow Bhagwan Ram. Hence, it is proven that he was a larger than life. Means for me, he is a god. He is an incarnation of Bhagwan Vishnu. But for those who think, who see a logic behind this, a person who was revered by this huge uh, and this ancient civilization, which has survived more than thousands, lakhs of years, millions of years, is still revering it. That means he must be a huge figure. So now the modern scientists also support this fact that Indian astronomy and flora fauna based proofs are, which are in this my article, that Ramayana dates back to 1.8 million years ago. Uh, for example, we give here that four tooth mastodon, that char four tooths mastodon means that hathi, elephant like figure, were guarded the place of Ravana in Lanka and in Ramayana Kal. That animal, if we do the carbon dating or other datings, it was existed between 3 to 2 million years ago. That proves that again 1.8 million years was the time of Bhagwan Ram. It matches there, and that fossil has been gone through the scientific examination, and it has found that it was 1.8 million years ago, or 1 million to 2 million years ago. So, as I said, Ramayana happened in Treta Yuga, and Treta spans in 1600 plus lakh year, 1.6 million year ago. And since then, we had Dwapar Yuga of 8.6 lakh years, and then another 5,000 years of Kali Yuga and Dwapar. And Ram Setu is 1.6 million years old, and that also a proof that that science is also accept this, that this is 1.6 million year ago built by some humans. And US-based engineers turned modern scientific astronomy historian Nilesh Oak, what we he's our common friend, and he also said that Ramayana has happened not before then 12,452 BC, and it was means 14,470 year back. So that means his finding are based upon the planetary positions that prevailed at the time of Bhagwan Ram's birth. So it is also scientific. So there is no question. Now, if we talk about Bhagwan Ram, we have found the evidences that all across the world, people, kings, and emperors around the globe has followed Sanatan Vedic Dharma, and there are many shades of evidence, archaeological and linguistic, in support of it. There is the influence of Vedic culture all over the world. The discovery of half man, half lion deity belongs to some 38,000 BC period in a cave named Stadel Hoel in Holstein, Stadel Cave in Holstein Mountain in the Lone Valley in the Swabian Alb, Germany. So that is that monument that is having half man and half uh, beast line, like our Vishnu Nrsimha avatar. In present day Indonesia, Balmiki Ramayana and Tamil poet Kamban's Ramayana are depicted in plays and story to inherit the great Ramayana Kal to Gen X. Actually, if you see the Jambu Dweep, that is modern day Eurasia, Europe and Asia. That was completely Vedic um Vedic area where Vedic Sanatan Dharma was practiced. So if I don't talk about that much because that was our place, the Malay, the Far East to South Middle East. It was all part of our Vedic culture. So we'll focus upon more in far territories. Like Vietnam has a stone pedestal in Vietnam, that Tra Q temple. It has Ramayana Kal's depiction that murtis and dates it backs to 7th to 8th centuries. And if you see Sanatan Vedic Hindu Dharma is a way of life of present day West Asia in ancient times also. Indian soldiers they were returning from the Second World War from Egypt, Libya, etc. They saw ancient remains and the temples and carvings of Bhagwan Sri Ram and other Hindu gods. Many have described them in their memoirs also. If we talk about Egypt, so Egypt has an interesting history. The name Egypt is derived from the Ajapati, Sri Ram's grandfather, Raja Aj. Etymologically, it is a name from Aja. The title of Egypt is ancient rulers, the dynasty of Ramesses. So the Sanskrit word Ram Isis, that means Ram the god, means the ruler were descendant of Bhagwan Ram. So every ruler was revered as a descendant of Bhagwan Ram, and that's why we see the mummies, the pharaohs are mummified in the uh, what do you call it? So King Pharaoh has name like Ramesses I and II. Many Egyptian kings were Vaishnav, the devotee of Bhagwan Vishnu. Sri Ram is one of the 10 incarnations of Vishnu that we already know. So Egyptian kings were known as Ramesses and queens were named after Sita. So it seems because Sri Ram was universally accepted as a king, ideal king and incarnation of Bhagwan Vishnu, the ancient Egyptians considered their rulers to be the incarnation of God. One picture of Egyptian status, you must have seen it. Uh, that is from the book of Egyptian Myths and Legends, and it's page number 368. His robes are covered with Vishnu tilak and sandal paste. In the book Long Missing Links, the Pharaoh of Memphis is published in where he is using tilak just like a Vaishnavas. Aman, Aman or Rama, Mat, beautiful wife, Mat Mata, and Khonsu seems to be related to Ram and Sita and Lakshman respectively. The Egyptian civilization describes it, Aman was associated with the sun god Ra and called Aman Ra. That is indicative of Rama. Rama born in Sun dynasty, so he was a Surya Vansi. That's called Aman Ra. He was a Surya Vansi. Aman Ra was with God, sun god. So Aman Ra was the supreme creator of God of all beings and everything in this world. He hailed as the most compassionate one who always comes for the poor in distress. So uh, God were created Purush Sukta, Rigved's Purush Sutra, the God who were Sahasra Purusha, Sahasra Shitsa, that was Aman Ra for them. So similarly, in Sanatan scriptures, only Ram is hailed as a king of the world. So this is with the Egyptian area, and many Hatti, Mitanni empires, ancient Iraq, Syria, and Turkey. They all have evidences which states that Ram was present there very much. And if we talk about South America, and this is I would request you, Aditiji, please send me a book that I would like to go through what you have done about the Incas in Peru, because I was always fascinated about the Incas and Mayas in Latin America, and I could find a few things which I have been encompassing here. Sir William Jones, who has studied and researched the Vedic history of the world, said some 200 years back that it is very remarkable that Peruvian, whose Incas boasted of the same descent, styled their greatest festival Ramasitta. When we may take it that South America was peopled by the same race who imported. it from the far east of part of Asia, the rites and fabulous history of Ram and Sita. It is compiled in the Asiatic Research Volume 1. Thus, those who studied and researched sincerely over the past of the world recognize that the fact that Ram was known to the ancient people of South America, to the far east point of Asia, and this was the Vedic civilization. So, those people who have sincerely studied and worked upon this, they have acknowledged. But the pity is, those works are not in public domain so much, not popular so much popular because some people, some missionary work and left communist people, they always concealed those things from the world. What has been in support of Sanatan Vedic Dharma, because they had to rule us in those times, and they are still trying to rule us psychologically. So if you want to rule some people, then you have to down them, downgrade them, degrade them, that you are culturally poor and economically. See, Asia is economically not that powerful, but culturally, if you see, we have been deprived our portion of stake by the academia, by the scientists, or by the powerful lobby of the world. Aditi ji?
I'll definitely send you my book. I think on Kindle it is free, I think, so you'll
Okay,
definitely
great.
can read it. But in US, UK, France, Belgium, it is available in print. Now coming back to this point on the South American, the global spread, and you said rightly about the Egypt, and Egypt, the entire ancient Egypt history is Hindu history, and which we can say it confidently also because of the traditions and the belief, and which was replaced by the Romans. And then the Romans, they did not touch the Egyptian history. The major change in Egyptian history happened after Vatican took control of the Roman Empire. So then the major history happened, and after that, Islam took over, replaced Christianity there. So the Coptic Christian history, which is what Vaticans show in their museums right now. Now, coming back to the point of Sanatan Tattva, which you mentioned, and the wide global presence of Sanatan Tattva, and you rightly said about Peru and other, the easternmost boundary is Udaigiri, which I have captured in my book One Arrow One Kill. That is Udaigiri, and the westernmost boundary is Astachal or Astagiri. Astagiri is the boundary of the west, which is the western mountains in the Europe. That's where the
Right.
Astagiri is. And to some extent it also comes to the US also, because US is somewhere in the middle here. But since it forms in the straight line, at least I can say the west coast of
Please
US.
explain that Udaigiri and Astagiri. Udaigiri and Astagiri, please explain it for the English speaking people
Yeah,
in the
astagiri
audience.
Astagiri is the place where the sun sets, and Udagiri is the place where the sun rises.
For
So
Indians, for we Indians.
yeah, and like for example, when I went to Japan, I saw the sun towards the southeast, way
Right.
southeast, and I was shocked that why it is southeast. It's showing like I get up very early, and from Mount, I was staying in Mount Fuji, near Mount Fuji, and I was trying to see the directions, and then I saw southeast, which is so true. Again, it proves that. Fortunately, we have direct flights in San Diego and Japan, so we can go very easily. 9 hours flight. So southeast, and and if you look at the west, real western boundaries, if you look at it, the US doesn't fall under the western bound. It's in the middle zone somewhere. So the east and the west combined, because the east coast of the US may be considered the eastern boundary, but still it is way off of Europe. So the eastern boundary runs right in the middle of the Atlantic, western boundary, sorry, right in the middle of the Atlantic, and the eastern boundary is right in the right on the borders, or you can say the east coast of US and way down to the Chile, because I think Chile and US, we have a difference of around 4 hours. They're 4 hours ahead of us. So that's what it is. Now coming back to
And
you again.
one more pic. one more peculiarity about
Yeah.
the Indian latitude and longitude. If you can explain that, one peculiarity is there why the birth has happened to this place, or why this place is so pious that God Himself has, Bhagwan Himself has taken avatar, incarnation to this land. So it has some peculiarity. If you see the
I want you
axis,
to explain it.
no, no, please you explain,
You go
please.
ahead. Go ahead. I've written it already. Yeah, go ahead.
Please you explain then, please.
No, speak about it. So the actually the 00 meridian runs from Ujjain all the way straight
Yes,
up and right till the equator, because the Surya Siddhanta, so the entire concept of GMT is wrong. Because first of all, the GMT falls in the Western category. So the time calculation is all wrong when you say the GMT is a reference. But it has been a tradition in the history. Whichever country was more powerful established their own time, so that everything is calculated with respect to that. Just like you, when the UK was strong, British was strong, then the GMT became the global standard for time calculation. Even today, it is continuing. So I don't think so. The colonial rule has gone away. Independence
yes.
has been given, but the mindsets are still colonized. You know, in America, we call them coconuts, brown from outside, white from inside. But I don't believe in brown and white and black, because for me, all of them are same. But the in the time of Yudhishthir, Ujjain, and before that, it was the central meridian, and that was considered the standard for calculating time, and which is accurate also, because if you see the seasons in India, they always occur at the right time as described in the textbooks, even the Western textbooks. The Western seasons are not uniform. Like for example, I used to live in West Virginia. In West Virginia, we used to have winters until May. Right, even today it's cold, and the snow has not melted in some places also, even now. And that is West Virginia is way south than Canada. Is like in terms, Canada is 4 hours drive from there. So, but still, that is continuing. So now you explain, please.
No, it is okay. It is okay. That is the thing. Actually, I wanted to explain. The
Uh-huh.
peculiarity, what you have mentioned, is the center crosses the Ujjain, and we have with the God's grace, we have all the seasons at a time.
At a time, yes.
We have all the season at a time, so we have the best place, best atmosphere to survive for any living being at the same time. So that is the peculiarity. And if you see the southern portion of India, uh, what I believe is the southern portion of India, means the Kanyakumari and all that portion, the origin must have been from there. If you go by the modern science, that from cellular to our positioning, so the first living being must have born in the slush, which has a moderate temperature, because in the ice cold, even the bacteria can't survive. So to survive a bacteria, a microbiology, micro gene that can extend into a human body or whatever of any creature can survive in the moderate temperature, that cannot survive in the cold. So the origin must be from the south. As the ice is over, ice age is over, then the process of survival of the people, of the ecology, of the mankind, everything must have started from the south portion of the world, and that is our South India, that has the appropriate atmosphere, um, with the warmth and oxygen, with the uh, water, that all the ingredients which are necessary for the development of any cell into a body. That is my take.
The creation aspect in the our scriptures is very clear. The life came in all the parts of the earth at the same time. it,
Right.
it completely debunks the Western theory on
Yes.
the life appearance, number one, because it is not
Right.
possible. Because
That
that's where
is not possible.
the Darwin failed, because the Darwin actually Darwin did not claim anything. He was just proposing a story or theory. And I always have a joke that Darwin's father was a monkey, mine was not, because I can see him. Because there is no middle, like there are no
No, 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 no.
half-tailed humans even today.
Hmm.
The another aspect which I want to ask you is, so when we talk about Sanatan Tattva, and we talk about the global presence Sanatan Dharma, most of the Indians are not even aware of that, and they look for, now William Jones, you took the name. William Jones has done a good work, but also some bad work also, because
Definitely,
he could not
definitely.
understand Sanskrit. So he
Yes.
tried to fit the entire Mahabharata in just the current map of British map of India
Hmm.
after 1947. And so that means they had a plan beforehand how much India should be there. And that too, actually people do not know, when British left India, they divided into 561 or 575 independent countries before they left.
Yes, yes.
And
561.
561, and then the Indian leader, the Vallabhbhai Patel, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, did a work on that to integrate them. So, so what do you think that you can tell to the Indians also, that they have to become proud of what is there, and they can start claiming it?
See, for me, all the things, all the rituals of Sanatan Dharma are very important, scientific, and if something I do not relate to, also I believe it 100% because one day or another day or someday we'll be able to find its reason cause. Because today I'm not up to that level that I can understand all the things whatever an ancestor has done because they were all great rishis. I cannot reach to their level. So it is my limitations to reach out to that knowledge, to understand that knowledge. So whatever limited I could conceive, I have conceived, and I have this firm opinion that all the things, all the rituals, all the living pattern, what we described in the Vedas, in the Shastras, Purana, Upanishad, Mahabharata, and Ramayana, our Grantha, are all our history and our truth. So I try to convey it to my uh, acquaintance wherever I go. I used to do Havan every day. And I used to tell everyone that if you do these things, these are the yantra, these are the tools to accelerate your spirituality. If you want to excel in the spiritual sphere, if you want to be moha mukta, means you go away from this maya or the material world, then you have to uh, practice it religiously in your daily life. So these things, the havan, yajna, or meditation, dhyan, chanting, this all helps you to go away from the materials because there is no limit for the greed. And this is the biggest beauty of our dharma, our Sanatan Vedic dharma, that it keeps you it has the tools to keep you away from all these uh, material attractions, all the worldly attractions. It, it can keep calm, it can keep you away from this, and that is the ultimate goal of human life is peace and happiness. And that can be attained without going away from the dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. So to keep away from all these things, you have to uh, practice uh, the things as described at taught by our ancestors, and that are very powerful. Believe me, I practice it, and I can I have excelled in these things, and I can say you that I'm just now I'm 40 running 47, but I have almost retired from my material life since last 5 years, and now I am into learning and what is my choice of area, my hobby to do something to my part for the Sanatan Dharma that trying to do. And for Indians, as you said, that we are not aware. Actually, what happens? You were kept busy fighting for food, for daily 2 meals to make the ends, and we have been put in a race that our child should go to America or Europe for the better life. Whereas the Westerner who have attained the ultimate truth, they are coming back to India. They are practicing it Hinduism, Hindu Dharma, Hindutva in their places, and they wish to come to India. But unfortunately, our education system has been designed such a way that you are away from all the truths and you are taught what the absolute theologies like Marx and Darwin, what as you rightly you said, and we are still following those things in our curriculum. Or our kids are studying Karl Marx, the absolute theory, which has been uprooted in their own turf where they have been originated. Those that Lenin, Marx, or the Chinese fellow, which is very famous in India, Mao, all these theories are debunked in their own turf, but we are still toying. We can find a lot of people who are so-called intellectual. They are sitting all over our educational institutions, we are demeaning Sanatan Dharma on daily basis. Today or 2 days back, the PETA India, the animal loving, so-called animal loving organization, they have come up with the new idea. Amul, the milk brand of India, which is I think the largest brand of a milk brand in the world. They are advising them to come with the uh, bio, what you said, soya milk rather than cow milk, and they are not uttering a single word against the slaughter of cow, slaughter of goats, and the meat and mutton every day consumed worldwide. They are not speaking against that, but we are teaching us and our youth, so-called the left liberal-leaning youth, are picking that things. That yes, that vegan milk is better than cow milk. So this type of conspiracy theories are still going on, and we are still buying. We have still the buyers of these theories because of the education system. So we are kept away from our roots, our teachings, our value system, and our family system has been broken with the system, with the kind of TV shows pushed into our drawing rooms daily basis. Our films, they have done a great disaster to our society, and people are returning back to the close means uh, this family system, our ancient family system. They are coming back to that. Our kids are now, they are performing puja every day, and even one time in the morning or the evening, one time they are performing puja. They are chanting also. They are doing meditations. So the things are coming back. We are now, we can say that India is rising right now. The whole Bharat has awakening, and they are coming to our system, and thank to this social media and technology that has given us a boost in reaching to each other and to understand these things, the values of Sanatan Dharma. Aditi ji.
You mentioned something important about the Bollywood and the Indian TVs. There's a joke which 137 years of Mughal rule could not do. Muslim rule, Islamic attacks on India. 137 is maximum they stayed because they used to attack and go, attack and loot and go, attack and loot and go. And 90 years of British rule could not do, which is from 1857 to 1947 is 90 years. Before that, it was East India Company. Bollywood and Indian media has done in 20 years, starting from 1985. By 2005, they had done irreparable damage to Indian psyche.
Yes, yes.
And so the impact of Bollywood has been so strong because they are just repeating the lies of the colonial powers, and they themselves have no identity.
So they are
So
amplifying it. They are
amplifying it.
amplifying it again.
See, if you look at the Indian songs also, and purposely people in South America are shocked because they are thinking India is such a great culture, why it is not. So why people are not speaking up? Like why such movies, people don't reject it or don't go to the movie halls for that, or even
Actually,
television soap operas.
the period you said from like 80s to 2010, 15, or even current period, the whole film industry was taken over by people from across the border, the Dawood Company, the Arabian peoples, Pakistan, and the left clan. So the entire funding of the Bollywood industry has been done from there. So they could not utter, even if you will be surprised, Amitabh Bachchan, the great figure, we revered him like a stalwart. He is also not able to utter a single word against that system. And whoever tried to break their system, he has been kicked out of the industry or even killed. You know, Gulshan, what happened to Gulshan Kumar? He has been shot daylight. So the entire film industry is now financed by Arabian funds, the Pakistani funds, Chinese funds, and they are dancing on their tunes. They have to toe their lines. What we have to uh, do, what we have to depict, like all the Muslim uh, gundas, the smugglers, they have been glorified. They have been glorified like larger than life figures. So, what we will inspire? What kind of things will inspire from this? And our daily soaps, abusing our gods, abusing our family system, abusing our relationships. Like if you see, the mother-in-law used to scold the son-in-law, daughter-in-law, then sister-in-law is try to humiliate the sister-in-law. Like these things that has no place in our history. Our daughter-in-law is welcomed as a beti, means another daughter, and she has been kept as a next generation uh, custodian of the family. So we have no history of such abuses, but it has been uh, pushed into your drawing rooms on daily basis, and your mindset becomes like that. That, oh, this is common thing and happening everywhere. Like one lady is marrying several times, one man is marrying several times. So it is not part of our culture, and it was not our part of our culture. So all these things are there. We also ignored the Bollywood industry for a long time. We have not penetrated that sphere. People like Chandraprakash Dwivedi ji or B.R. Chopra ji or one two people have tried what they could do. Ramanand Sagar ji. So what they could do, but it was not of that extent that they could change the flow of Bollywood. But fortunately, we have now young people. We are making movies like Tanaji, like Kesari, and we have inspiring things now. And there is a whole lot of new writers coming up. Fortunately, we have now penetration over the Bollywood, and we are trying to cleanse it. Hopefully,
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sorry, Gopal Goswami ji. One of the last things that I have in mind is we talked about Bollywood. Now, what is the Indian Cultural Ministry not talking about it in the whole world? You and we have documented it, we have proved it. Not only just me, like so many people before it. But we see the famous prize like Padma Vibhushan, Padma Shri given to people who are still continuing the peddling the colonial lies. The major rewards in the Indian establishment go to such people. You will never see that in even small countries like Vietnam or Thailand. But India is continuing those kind of things. Why is that so?
actually, we are talking about last 6 to 7 years of the governance. We have tried to change this narration. Now, people with the real work on the ground are getting Padma Vibhushan and Padma Bhushan etc. But before that, it was sponsored by somewhere else, and it was even sold. The awards, Padma awards, were sold to people. They used to buy it. Now the scenario has changed, and what happens? The entire bureaucracy, the entire selection panel of the Padma awards that belong to that communist clan. So they do the things. What happens in our university? The professor chooses few people whom he inherit the legacy. Then it continues, and the communist legacy goes on with the university. You can't uproot them because they have strong roots. The bureaucracy will take 20-25 years of time to uproot it because uh, we have started cleansing it. So you can say that 7 years is not enough. The people already in the system, and with the education system, once we are in, you will get out of it when you die. There is no other exit route. So we are fighting on enormous fronts right now. People, we are not fighting with Pakistan at all. Pakistan can't survive even a minute against us. Even China, we can fight China out in the war also, no issues. But the problem is their sympathizer are sitting inside our system, in our society, in our neighborhood, in our uh, whole system, the bureaucracy to judiciary to education system, everywhere they are there. The cultural ministry is also same. The entire clan of civil servant come out from the Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy. They have been taught all these things. They have been shown Lal Killa, Qutub Minar, Taj Mahal in the name of our culture. What else? Tipu Sultan was a great emperor for us. Aurangzeb has done enormous work. Andre Tishke comes and lectures at Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy. So what do you expect from them? They will do that only. Now things are falling in place. That's why you see all these uh, toolkits programs worldwide. Now the pesticides is working rightly, and cockroaches are coming out of their hideouts, and hopefully we will be able to eradicate all these ills, and the Sanatan will prevail because Sanatan is truth, Sanatan is nature.
No, thank you so much. And I think, Gopalji, the message is very loud and clear because many foreign organizations like Aga Khan Trust, who only focus on promoting the values of Islam in India, and they actively fund major projects of ASI only for their purpose. So Delhi has become just Delhi was known as Indraprasth, and it is now become Mughal Prasth now. So which is a very bad story to say to the world, because people don't come to India thinking in anything other than Sanatan Dharma. Like I can
Right.
tell you about America or South America or Europe, because when they think about India, they think about Vrindavan, they think about
Ayodhya,
Rameshwaram, they think about
mm,
uh, Rishikesh.
Kashi,
Rishikesh,
Kashi, Rishikesh,
Kashi.
Kashi.
Yeah. So they think that. So that is the major tourist earner for India, not any
Mm.
other place. I mean, most of the foreigners will be unsafe to go to even Kerala, parts of Kerala or parts of Bengal, parts of
Yes,
Kashmir,
yes.
because so the major tourism revenue is because of that. If that is lost, India is lost. So, which is a major problem actually, which Indian government has to think seriously if they want to remain economic powerhouse. Otherwise, they'll become just like one of the 57 other countries. So anyway,
Right.
so thank you so much, Gopalji, for coming and sharing your views. And thank you all the viewers for watching it.
Thank
And
you.
do
Thank
go
you
to
very
the
much.
YouTube and comment and ask questions over there. Let me know. And
Thank
do
you.
join our
Namaskar.
Telegram. You join us on Telegram, join us on Gab, join us on YouTube, join us on Twitter, anywhere. We are on multiple platforms now. Thank you and namaste.
Namaste.